I believe that Stripperella walked so that the Harley Quinn cartoon could run. Hi. It's the New Moon Tarot forecast for the first Aries new moon of 2023. If you are new here, my name is Michelle Shea Walker. I am an intuitive coach, a Reiki teacher, and a oracle deck creator living in Chicago, Illinois, and I do these new and full moon readings every month. So what happens if this is your first time is that we dive into a general collective reading that includes a goddess card from the Total Betty Goddess deck, which is a deck that I created. You can find it online. You know where to look. And then we dive into additional cards for everyone that's watching on the general collective pages of YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, wherever I decide to post this reading. Then we dive in deeper to the topic at hand over on my Patreon. So if what's about to unfold resonates for you, know that there's more later. And if you feel like you want to dive in, your intuition will let you know. The Patreon's only for higher level intuitive development, so if it doesn't sound like it's for you, that's okay. You can go ahead and like or subscribe this video on YouTube to infuse your energy deeper into the collective reading. So in the spirit of Aries, let's dive in. We're going to start with our Total Betty Goddess pool. I'm going to talk a little bit about the fact that we are having 2 Aries new moons within 2023. We are also having this new moon directly following the start of spring, the start of Aries season, so it is particularly potent for new beginnings. And we had a card fall out from the deck, so I'm going to get that. So this card is actually one of our new goddesses added to the Total Betty 2.0 deck, which is available for pre-order over at michelleshayewalker.com, and it is one of my favorites because it is Veritas, played by Pamela Anderson. All the goddesses in this deck and in the original are played by 90s icons who I consider totems for these goddesses, and Pamela Anderson just had to be added into this second edition because she has always been someone that I admire. She is a Cancer sun. I am a Cancer sun. I've related to her from way back when. I believe that Stripperella walked so that the Harley Quinn cartoon could run, and I admire her deeply for her deep, deep honesty, which is why she is playing the Goddess of Truth. So we are going to have to get very comfortable with some uncomfortable truths as we move into the start of this fresh zodiac new year. And that means that we need to be okay with having a shadow side, with having things that maybe we're not super comfortable putting on display to the world, but they are still a part of ourselves. So this is kind of like a moon card calling out to me before I even pull the tarot cards, because it's about getting comfortable with that shadow self. Now, what does that mean? That means that you need to be able to recognize the things within yourself that you feel ashamed about, pinpoint why you feel shame for those things. Sometimes they are something that is shameful and maybe you need to sort of reprogram either your actions or your feelings about them, or sometimes it's something that's not shameful and that the world has told us we should be ashamed of. So Veritas, the Goddess of Truth, is here to give us the permission to not be ashamed of our authentic self. Pamela Anderson is unapologetically herself, both back in the 90s and today. If you haven't seen the documentary on her life or read her book, I highly recommend them. But it's telling us that even when we're behaving in a way that maybe the outside world doesn't fully understand or judges us for in some way, we need to have an internal sense of our own authentic truth and just stay true to that, which can be very difficult. So I have a feeling that the moon card might be a common theme that comes up even if the physical card doesn't show up within our reading, because this is about being okay with our shadow self and recognizing the parts of ourselves that don't need to be put in the shadows, that culture has told us that we need to be ashamed of, that actually aren't shameful. So look at where you're feeling shame or where you're playing small this week and embody that 90s and current day Pamela Anderson energy where you are unapologetic about being true to you. So without further ado, we're going to dive into the Modern Witch Tarot. This deck is going to be our deck for both the collective reading and the extended reading, and we are going to pull a past, present, future spread for the collective, and we'll dive in for about 10 to 13 cards more over on the Patreon. So again, use your intuition. If this first reading resonates for you, you can always join us on the Patreon for that and lots of other goodies, but maybe you'll find that the past, present, future is all that you need. And we have lots of jumpers. We cannot take all of those, but a couple fell face up, so I am going to collect those. So our past card is coming in with the Queen of Pentacles. And this is a beautiful sign. It says that we have established a safe space for ourselves. So the Queen of Pentacles indicates that in regards to being our authentic self, we have laid a really safe foundation. We have gone in, we have created a safe space, whether it be an external home life or an internal home, that does make us feel more safe to be who we really are. But we are currently learning to kind of bring it out into the real world. So know that you've done the work to make your inner child feel safe, and you just have to then start bringing that into your external space. So that is our recent past. Our present comes in underneath this Aries new moon with the Nine of Cups. So the Nine of Cups is telling me that we are getting some wishes fulfilled underneath this new moon, which is perfect because if you know anything about manifesting around the moon's energy, the new moon is when you make your wishes. It's when you set your intentions for the next 6 months. So you go from the new moon in a certain sign, and then by the full moon in that certain sign, you're supposed to have the manifestations kind of coming to fruition, or you're going to have more clarity in regards to what you want with the things that you thought you wanted 6 months earlier. Sometimes you don't want the same things and you're thankful that they didn't manifest. Sometimes you're just clarifying the path a little bit, you're refining it, and you make those refinements under the full moon 6 months following. Because we have 2 new moons in the same sign during this month, that means we have extra power to our manifestations made under the sign of Aries. Because when we move into the Aries full moon 6 months from now, we are manifesting from 2 separate dates. So from March 21st until April 19th, when the second Aries new moon occurs, we are really refining these manifestations. So I encourage you to set a little bit more general wish list for this first new moon, to really dream big with what it is that you think that you're calling into your life, but then stay open that this next month is going to really clarify those things. So you might have some things in your life shake up and move around, and by the new moon next month, you want something a little different than what you thought you wanted now. So hold loosely to your wishes, but know that your wishes are super powerful at this time, and that is the power of having these 2 new moons back to back from March 21st to April 19th. So make your wishes, make them from an authentic place that your inner child feels safe being their entire self, and we'll move into a future energy of the Seven of Wands. This may not be the card that we wanted, but it is the card that we needed, because the Seven of Wands indicates that we are going to fight to hold our ground in the near future. And I think this is both within the gap between the 2 Aries new moons and following that as we're continuing to have these manifestations come to light over the next 6 months. Because this is a card of saying that there are going to be people that don't understand what you're trying to do. And you have to kind of fight to hold your ground and not let those thoughts and opinions affect your overall goals. So know that much like our goddess of the month, Pamela Anderson, there are going to be people that don't understand you, that don't know the whole story, that you're maybe not even supposed to convince to come over to your side, which is sometimes the hardest part. This is telling us that we are supposed to stand firm to our ground because we do have the higher ground, because we are connected to our authentic self. And by knowing that, you can stand firm in your decisions, in your choices, and in the wishes that you're bringing into fruition over the next 6 months. So I hope that that reading serves you well. This is a very big topic, so I'm super excited to see what we dive into over on the Patreon. If you do want to join the Patreon, it is the monthly Mystic level that gets access to these extended videos. In addition to the extended videos, you also get access to live events, monthly tarot scopes, weekly pick-a-card readings, goddess riffs, and distance Reiki sent out every Sunday. So it's a steal at $11. And if you're watching this over on the Patreon, as usual, the rest of the reading starts right now.